Shalom, and welcome back to B'nai Noach Academy, Thoughts on Life. Please remember to hit the like button, to subscribe, and most importantly, to share this insight and inspiration with friends and family. So in a recent class titled Killing the Bad, we have one of our dedicated viewers asked a question in the comment section. I'll read you the question verbatim, and I'll do my best to respond, because actually this topic is a very important one. And I don't believe that just one class will do proper justice to it. But in any case, this question is from Anna, and she asks, could you possibly deal in more detail about the question of capital punishment? She has several questions. Is it permissible at all? If so, why? And then she asks, wouldn't such a permission contradict the laws and precepts of ethics and morality? So I'm going to start at the end. And I can tell you that in my note, when I wrote down this question, I underlined the word permission. She asked, wouldn't such a permission contradict? So first of all, this is not a matter of permission. No one has permission to kill. Either you have an obligation to kill or you don't. You're not allowed to kill. There's no such thing as it being permissible. It's permitted to eat. You could decide to eat. You can decide not to eat. That's something that's optional. This is not a matter of option. We have to preserve life. That's because God gave life. When we are told, and again I underscore, told to take someone's life, that's because the master of life, who is God himself, tells us the person should be put to death. Notice I didn't say it doesn't deserve to live. There's such thing as you deserve to live or not. We all have a purpose. God puts us here for a purpose. Once God has deemed that this purpose no longer exists, or this person should be put to death because their purpose has ended, then we do that. Of course, we don't know that unless it is written in the laws, unless this person has perpetrated certain transgressions in which God says in his Torah, you should do it. Now, the question how this maybe perhaps contradicts the laws, the precepts of ethics and morality. Remember, ethics and morality is not by our discretion. It's not something that we decide what is ethical and what is moral. In fact, this is the reason why when you look at the Ten Commandments in the Torah, it doesn't only talk about the lofty rules and laws about being connected to Hashem, about keeping the Sabbath and so on. It also talks about basic, very obvious ethics and morals. Don't kill, don't steal, don't commit adultery, because God is telling us, I am the one who decides. I am the one who sets the benchmark for what is ethical and what is moral. So yes, when Hashem tells us, when God tells us, this person needs to be put to death, then it's not only, let's go back to the question, is it permissible? It's not about being permitted. You can never permit such a thing. It's about having to do it. You have to do it. And this needs to be explained. So what really does this mean when God tells us this person needs to be put to death? Well, think of it this way. Imagine somebody is constructing a very destructive little bomb in their home, in their own space, in the privacy. Notice I said in the privacy of their home. And somehow we find out about it. Do we have the right, or perhaps you would agree even more than just the right, we have an obligation to put an end to it, to stop that, to see to it that that is eliminated. The person is eliminated if that's what it takes. Because if not, that person can take out an entire city block or more and do such tremendous destruction, which will reverberate for a long time after that. Thus, think of it when a person commits certain sins as dictated by the Torah. That person has now detonated a bomb or is about to detonate a dirty bomb into the spiritual atmosphere of the world, thus bringing death. Maybe we can't see it. It's not as obvious as when one crashes into a building, God forbid, or one detonates an actual physical bomb. So therefore, most of us seem to say, what's the big deal? I mean, okay, they committed a sin, they did some bad. But really, if we were able to see The spiritual effect, if we were able to view the spiritual environment, we would see how detrimental that quote-unquote bomb was. And therefore, it would be very obvious, just like we would do to any terrorist, that we need to take this person out. We need to eliminate this source of danger. So in that sense, are you doing now a negative, or you're actually doing a positive? Think of the surgeon who sees on the scan, as we used the metaphor in the past, sees on the scan a source of cancer and is going to cut that out from the body. Remember, that part will be missing from the body. And in fact, the person will have a scar, either an external or internal scar, forever, for the entire life. And maybe even it will even impede their ability and mobility future going down the road. But they're going to be alive. That cancer is not going to explode, using the metaphor of the bomb, in them and thus take away their entire life. So is this surgeon moral? Is this surgeon ethical? Actually, this surgeon is very righteous for having dedication and finding in themselves not to get deterred by the blood and the gore and the difficulty and the pain, and cut this cancer out and cut this danger out and give the person life. So think of it in such terms, and it'll help you get through the idea of capital punishment. God says when a certain type of line is crossed, this individual should no longer live. It's not only it's not good for the world, but in fact, it's not good for them to continue living in this world. And this, in the future, I'll try to go through it in more detail, because obviously it requires some more explanation, some deeper explanation, and there's other aspects of it which need to be covered.